You are listening to the Social Workers Rise podcast. This episode is brought to you by the Rise Directory, connecting clinical supervisors to the next generation of mental health providers. Are you a clinical supervisor? Then you are invited to join us as one of the founding members. Tap the link in the show notes for more details. Hello, my name is Catherine Moore, social worker, mom, coffee lover, and founder of Social Workers Rise, where we inspire social workers to connect, expand their knowledge, and change more lives than they ever thought possible. I'm so excited you found my podcast. We will talk everything social work on every level from micro to macro. We will hear the stories of social workers who are doing big things, learn new skills, and most importantly, give you actionable steps to make a difference today. Let's go. Hello, welcome to another episode of Social Workers Rise. It's your host, Catherine Moore here, and we're switching it up this week. Instead of listening to me interview someone else, you get to listen in to me getting interviewed by Harleni. She is an LMSW based out of New York. She's a social work coach, and she helps social workers market themselves and land multiple job interviews using LinkedIn. She also has her signature program called the Social Work Graduate Academy and her own podcast that she launched this year, 2021, called the Social Work Insider. She is definitely someone to follow, and go and listen to her podcast if you are in the job market trying to look for land some interviews. She definitely has a lot of really great gems. This week, we talk about how to recognize burnout in yourselves. We share our own personal signs of burnout, what happened to us, and how you can avoid these common pitfalls. She also shares towards the end a little way that you can start networking with people, no matter who you are. If you're a student, if you're a seasoned professional, if you are interested in getting into a different area of social work, then definitely stay till the end for her networking tips. And with that, let's hop right into it.
Welcome, my fellow social workers. I'm so excited because today I have the amazing Catherine Moore from Social Workers Rise, and we're going to be having a juicy conversation on what is burnout, how to prevent it, and especially how to navigate the job market with all of this noise within the industry as a new social work graduate. Catherine, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to jump into this conversation. I'm excited for you and this podcast. I know it's going to help so many people. Congratulations on starting this.
Thank you so much. And absolutely, we've been talking for such a long time. And when we get together, best believe we throw so many gems. And, I definitely want to start kicking off this conversation with, for someone who's tuning in right now, really explain what is burnout? What are some of the signs, especially for a new grad coming into, this field, for them to be able to have this level of awareness early on is absolutely crucial.
Okay, let me first start with a story. All right, so I'm going to tell you my story of what happened, and it is, okay, so I was a new grad, probably like 2 or 3 years out of grad school. I had a full-time job. I had a new kid. I had a husband. I had a house. Well, not a house, condo, apartment, place, right? And I love my job. I love the people that I worked with. I had a great boss. It was working with hospice. And so a lot of these jobs, so many jobs that we do as social workers, we love them, but they take a lot of energy out of us.
Oh my God,
right? Because
yes.
we're holding space for people's pain and trauma and hurt. And that takes a lot of energy. So even I'll hear people talk about like, oh, I just had this hour-long conversation about someone who got dumped by their boyfriend or girlfriend. And I'm so tired. We have those conversations like 4 times a day, if not more. So I was there and I always thought I'm never going to get burnt out because I love it so much. I love social work. I love what I do. I'm never going to get burnt out. And I distinctly remember must have been a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I was washing my dishes after we had dinner. The TV was on. My husband was there with my kid. And I'm thinking about all of the things that I still have to do that night. So the kitchen was a mess, had to clean the kitchen. I still had to finish my notes from that day at work. I still had to prepare for the meeting the next morning. I still wanted to give my daughter a bath and spend quality time with her. And I still wanted to get 8 hours of sleep, which there was just no time to do all of those things. And I'm just stressing about how I'm going to get it all done. And my husband, he's so sweet. He says, honey, why don't you come over here and watch a movie with us tonight? And I kid you not, I broke down crying. I said,
God.
no, there is no time to watch a movie. How could you ask me that? And I realized that is a completely inappropriate response to someone inviting you to watch a movie. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody wants to hang out with that girl, right? So in that moment, I realized, I'm like, what is going on? I think I'm totally burnt out because I felt like I was just stuck in this place of having to work, that I was the only one that could do it, that could do, all of my to-do list, right? And that I didn't really see a way out. I didn't know how to change up what was going on. And so this episode got me started on this like research and this passion, because my whole life, or not my whole life, but my whole career, I have been told, expect to be burnt out. And that's just what happens as a social worker. And I was like, this is what happens as a social worker? Did I work like all of those college years and get into debt to feel like this? That's terrible. And so I set out on a mission. One of my pillars is to just change that narrative, is to eliminate this narrative that we have to be burnt out. And there's just a lot of different things that go into that. So to answer your original question, burnout is actually a medical syndrome. Your doctor can diagnose you with occupational burnout. And, there's different qualifications that they're looking for, just like we do in the DSM. But essentially, if you are feeling easily irritated, if you are feeling even apathetic, if you are having a decreased amount of efficiency at your work, if you're just not being productive, if you're not really being present. So for example, I was washing the dishes, but I wasn't really focused on what I was doing. I was thinking about all of the other items that had to get done. So it's the same thing if you're at work and you're with a client, you're not really being present because you're thinking, shoot, they better not say something that's going to have to trigger a report, because then I just don't have time for this report. And I'm not going to ask them about suicide because I don't even want to go down that route. I have too much to do. And those are when it gets dangerous, right? When we're thinking about, and it's unethical. It's really bad.
No,
And
and one thing I can't stress enough is basically you're not mentally available. right? And I love that you started sharing your story, because something similar happened to me when I first started out working in the field, working in foster care, child welfare. You could only imagine. And with me, burnout could look different for everyone. As for me, it really had to do with symptoms. I was getting a headaches. I even had a panic attack. Like, I was sweating. I was just so nervous. And that was literally the red flag for me. Like, okay, I need to set back. I need to set boundaries. I can't always say yes. And this is also crucial, for new grads. You're probably stepping into your first role. You're probably thinking like, oh my God, I have to be perfect. I have to say yes. I have to make sure that I can, quote unquote, be the best social worker that I can be. But there's no handbook. You're in control, and basically, control starts with being aware of your emotions. So I wanted to highlight that, because it will definitely knock you down.
Yes, yes. And thank you for pointing that out, because yes, burnout and stress. So burnout is just, it's unmanaged stress. It's unmanaged chronic stress long term. So you may even be burnt out from grad school. Upon
Mm-hmm.
graduation, you might already be burnt out because grad school is, it's rough.
Internship work.
Yeah. And then a lot of people have to work full time, and some people have families. And so you are just working 24/7. You might already be burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
And then but we're so excited. We're kind of functioning off of adrenaline that we get our first job, and you're like, yeah, community mental health, CPS. And they give you this unmanageable caseload. And I say that as a social worker who's been in the field for 10 years, some caseloads are just unmanageable for even us experienced, licensed clinical social workers. So you don't know that as a new grad. You don't know what your limits are. So you're still finding those out. But definitely, just be mindful of what's the way that stress shows up for you. I
Mm-hmm.
missed all my red flags, right? So I get irritable. I get anxiety and racing thoughts. I will just want to take a nap all the time. I don't want to go have fun because I just want to like relax and not do anything. So if you're not having fun, if you are not enjoying or not looking forward to doing the things that you were once looking forward to, if self-care sounds like a to-do list, then those are all really big red flags that we need to take a step back and just look at what's going on. What on your to-do list can you delegate to someone else? What doesn't really have to be done? Because a lot of times we have these unrealistic expectations for ourselves, and something has to give. So what doesn't have to be done, and then what can be done later?
Absolutely. And I love also that you're talking about that, because it also goes to protecting your energy. Really making sure on your everyday to day, like Catherine said, where can you delegate, or where can you carve out a little time for you? And I get it. Being in that hustle and grind mentality, will not get you very far. Because if you're like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. And of course, I'm actually first generation in my family to get my bachelor's and my master's. So I definitely understand that feeling of wanting to feel fulfilled and chasing a certain goal. But the reason why we're having this conversation, to have this level of awareness now, so even if you're a seasoned social worker, or even if you're a new grad, all of this applies, because you need to be able to take care of yourself before you're able to serve someone else, right? Or, help someone achieve their own goals. The work starts now. And if you're currently in school and graduating soon, really, or next year or so, make sure you pay attention on your everyday today, for you to be able to start being aware of what's not, quote unquote, normal of your everyday today. That's the only way that you're able to analyze and really reflect, and try to move forward to the best of your abilities.
And sometimes, bringing up first generation, sometimes these habits that cause burnout are just ingrained in who we are. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we might have had no choice but to hustle and grind 24/7. Maybe we had to take care of our siblings. Maybe we had to take care of our parents and go to school and work. And so we're always in this hustle and grind mentality. And so once you graduate with your master's degree, it's going to be a shift. So professional social workers, let's eliminate that burnout mentality. Professional social workers recognize when it's getting too much and where their boundaries are and where their limits are. Okay. So it is your responsibility, which is in the NISW Code of Ethics. It is your responsibility to be able to recognize your stress signals and when it's getting too much and to do something about it. And we might have never done that before in our lives. And now, as part of being a professional social worker, it's required of us, but they don't necessarily teach that to you in grad school.
Oh my God, they absolutely do not. And one thing I want to add, because you already know I'm going to throw in networking here. If you're probably trying to figure out, but how do I know, what's normal when it comes to caseload? How do I know what organization best supports the employees? All of these particular questions are a great question. And this is where networking is going to come into play. I cannot stress enough the power of LinkedIn, networking, connecting with other social workers in your area and organizations that you see yourself, working for. It's important to really take the moment to network and conduct informational interviews. And for those who don't know what informational interviews are, it's literally getting the 411 from someone, right? Like, hey, I see you work for this organization. I'm a recent grad. I see that you work as a school social worker. I am very interested. Do you mind sharing some insights about the organization? And then they'll be able to tell you, and you can ask specific questions. How do, this organization support its staff during employees? What's the caseload? How does supervision look like? Like, those are very important for you to see, like, ooh, this organization, based on my conversations, they were not a good match for me. So how do I continue to move forward? And this is something that you can start doing even prior to graduating. So you can have a list of your target companies, the good, the bad, to be able to decrease that sense of anxiety and, prevent that burnout to the best of your abilities as well.
And you can do that at any stage of your career.
Absolutely.
So if you realize, like, oh shoot, this company is not a good fit for me anymore, what do I really want to do in social work? And like Harleni said, start getting in those circles, start talking to the people who work there and who are doing that job. The power, what do they call it? The power of proximity is real. And once you get into those circles, you'll be surprised at the doors that open up. Even if you're just thinking about it, you don't even have to be.
There's no harm in reaching out and having those conversations. Nobody needs to know that you're looking for a new opportunity. Your employer does not need to know that you're looking for a new opportunity. You're just building your network. They always say your network is your net worth. So there you go. And it's very important to, there's no social work handbook. If you're in an organization and it's been 3 months and you are getting extremely burnt out and you're like, this is not for me, it's okay to change your field. It's okay to change your scope of practice, your population. There is no handbook. Sometimes we feel that, oh my God, this is the first job that I, secured after I graduated. There's no way that I'm going to secure another one. Absolutely. That, like, you are going to secure another job. There's more opportunities out there. Do not settle for less. You invested your time, your energy, and money in your degree. Do not let, especially this industry and all of the noise within this field, consume you. You're in control.
Yep, agreed. And if you have gotten hired out of grad school and you're like, I don't know about this place, start looking for another job. You don't have to stay there for your full licensing hours. You don't have to stay there for any set amount of time. This is your life. Okay, make your life what you want it to be. Don't just, take whatever is handed to you straight out of grad school. You might need to, I get that. Get the job, get hired, get experience, and then use that experience to then grow.
Yes, you won't know unless you try, because I've had conversations, with many social workers and social work students kind of feeling overwhelmed because they don't know how to proceed next in their career. You won't know unless you have conversations. You won't know unless you expose yourself to that particular population or setting, right? It always comes down to the thoughts that, the story that we tell ourselves, right? And this is going back also to burnout. Sometimes we feel that we're like trapped and that we can't, find a way out. You can. there is a way out, right? It only comes back to really having that level of awareness to know your limits and be able to set boundaries as best as you can.
And Harleni, this way of thinking is completely new. I don't know about completely, but very new in the social work industry, because a lot of the people that I spoke to that have been social workers for 20, 30, 40 years, they don't really think like this.
Mm-hmm.
They're very like dedicated. They're kind of like, I made my bed, I gotta sleep in it type thing.
Oh my God.
Um, so, so this way of thinking is very new. So that might be why, if you're listening to us right now and be like, my professor didn't say that to me, it's because we're changing the narrative here.
Listen, Catherine and I, we're both on a mission. We want to elevate this profession to the best of our abilities. And absolutely, there's going to be, some social workers or even leaders within social work that you may not be in agreement, but just know, going back to network, there is more than one particular, let's say, like message, right? It's really going back to what message is going to feel in alignment to you. I could say something, Catherine can say something, somebody else can say something, right? Going back to, there's so much noise within this field. The best opportunity that you can do for yourself is be able to reflect and put yourself back and just give yourself a moment to think and process what route feels in alignment to you. If not, you create your own. This is your path, this is your journey. There's no right or wrong answer or right or
Yep.
wrong path, pretty much.
Yep, exactly. And if you are in that cycle of burnout, you are not able to think clearly about what you want, where you're going, what your goals are, if what you're doing right now is in alignment with where you want to be going. So that's why, it's so important to just take that time for yourself to do whatever feels good. Well, I'm going to take that back. Do effective self-care that you enjoy. So that's going to be anything like exercising, building relationships with your friends and families, getting outside, getting into nature, laughing. Some physical affection it never hurts. What else is there? There's so many ways that are healthy ways of doing self-care. And now that the economy is reopening, it is much easier to kind of get out there and get out of the house. So that is a good thing for us.
Absolutely. And, I love that we're basically ending with strategies on how to implement self-care. Self-care looks different for everyone. I mean, for me, my form of self-care, I throw myself dance parties. Like I swear, like I always like blast music and I just dance because, dancing makes me feel good, build those endorphins. And it's very good to find out what works for you. I know not everyone loves journaling and reflecting and getting into our feelings, right? The social work in us. It's funny, like we don't practice what we preach at times, but it's coming from a place of just recognizing what can work for you, and just being okay. Like we don't always have to feel like we're working on towards something. The most important thing is that you have a goal and you're able to feel like, okay, I'm doing the best I can, right? Like there's no shaming, there's no guilting.
Definitely. Yeah. Even artists like doing art. You could do anything, riding your bike, boxing, whatever floats your boat.
And Catherine, I know we have said a lot, and just to do a recap, I mean, we have been sharing so much gems when it comes to, helping new grads or even seasoned social workers, have that level of awareness when it comes to how does burnout look like, how to prevent, how to practice and implement self-care. But most importantly, never forget, to follow your voice and own your voice and recognize that you're in control pretty much. And anything else that you would like to add, for our fellow social workers, and pretty much share anything that you're working on and how people can find you. And, it's been truly, truly a pleasure having you today.
Well, thank you, Harleni. Yes, I would love to connect with you. You can find me. Instagram is the best place. I am on LinkedIn. I'll give you those links. On Instagram, I'm at Social Workers Rise. I have a couple of courses made specifically for entry-level social workers that will really increase your confidence in the clinical process. So everything from assessment to documentation to therapeutic interventions. It is all covered in this beautiful little course. And also too, if you are looking for clinical supervision, we are launching the go-to resource for diverse clinical supervision, and it's called the Clinical Supervisor Directory. Definitely check it out. The link is in the bio. If you want to join, we are open to having more clinical supervisors on there. And if you're looking for someone, maybe your job doesn't provide it, or maybe you're not really too keen on your supervisor, definitely check it out.
Absolutely. You heard her loud and clear. Make sure to check out all of those resources. It's so valuable, especially for all you new grads. So make sure all the links are posted in the podcast episode. Until next time, thank you so much.
Do you want to make your own podcast? Spotify has a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. And this is the platform that I use because it makes it so simple to record and distribute your podcast all in one place using your cell phone. What you need to do is download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Social Workers Rise. If this episode helped you, please help me spread the word by leaving a review wherever you listen to your podcast. And share that you're listening. Tag me on social media. I love it. I will repost and reshare. I love it. Social currency is free, but it is so valuable. Also, I'd love to hear from you on Instagram. I really do respond. I really do love it when you give me your feedback. Lastly, this is not therapeutic advice or business advice or any other kind of personalized advice. To get that, you definitely need me as your coach. So please, again, reach out to me on Instagram. I can't wait till next week. I will see you then. All the love. Bye.